Luke, I'm your dad. It's not as good, is it? I tried it.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to play around with Luke with this cool microphone now that I don't have to hold it. And I want to do different variations of Darth Vader telling Luke Skywalker he's his father. But the more I hit Luke, I'm your daddy. Luke, I'm your father works better. Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist Mac Engel, joined by Mr. Nick Harris, who has the unenviable responsibility of covering the Dallas Cowboys. Nick, it's going to be a long season. So we got a lot of times to talk about our favorite movies from the past rather than Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
What is your favorite? Like, I know Star Wars is big. I'm watching Andor right now, the series on Disney Plus, which is outstanding. What's your favorite Star Wars movie or show?
Oh man, you're gonna hate me. I have never watched 1 second of anything Star Wars related.
I bet you're fun at parties. Okay. No, I don't hate that. There's a lot of
this. We've talked about this. I'm awful when it comes to movies and TV shows. There's a lot of things.
Are you a book person?
I was just an outside go play basketball with the kids person.
Oh, look at you! I didn't watch TV. I didn't have screen time. I went out and played basketball.
I was in before the light came on. I was that good.
All right. Fine. Dallas Cowboys collapse, calamity, catastrophic scenario in Charlotte over the weekend. A devastating 30-27 loss against the Rico Dowdle-led Carolina Panthers. Nick, I don't know what to say about this, even though we both thought this could happen. And you predicted it. A lot of people predicted that the Cowboys defense had major issues. And while I'm going to sit up here and tell you, I told you Rico Dowdle was pretty good, I don't think I thought he would turn into some variation of Gale Sayers, Eric Dickerson, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, but he did.
Yeah.
The former Cowboys running back went off. 30 carries, 183 yards, 4 catches, 56 yards. Some of the running lanes were so wide and so empty against him, it made it look like he was driving his car in the middle of Montana. We've seen some dud performances by this defense. Did this eclipse your worst fears for what they might be? They ultimately might be.
They wasn't buckled up.
I'm telling you, I think they were buckled up,
yeah.
And that's what this looks like.
No, honestly, that's probably one of the best post-game one-liners I've ever heard was Rico Dowdle saying that, because there was not one bit of inflection or smile on his face. He was dead serious, like, they wasn't buckled up.
I mean, Nick, was he wrong? Was he wrong?
Not wrong one bit. Not wrong one bit. But I love it for Rico. Good player, good dude. And who knows? He may have won that starting job in Carolina in the span of 2 weeks. He is 4th in the NFL in rushing yards, and he's only started 2 games. I mean, it is really impressive for him. But yeah, this Cowboys defense has major problems that extend far beyond just the pass defense. You know, Jerry Jones said that in that trade for Kenny Clark and sending Micah Parsons away, it was about the run defense. It was about the run defense. That was hammered so many times during that press conference shortly after the trade was made. Well, the run defense is 31st in the NFL through 6 weeks, and the pass defense is 32nd in the NFL through 6 weeks. So it doesn't look like that trade really helped much of anything. I will say, though, you know, Micah Parsons on this defense, would it be a better defense? Yes. Would it still be a very bad defense? Yes.
Yep.
Yes, it would. So I'm not sure that, you know, $47 million allocated to Micah Parsons to, you know, be able to get a stop here and there would be a drastic change in things. Could it have maybe gotten you one more stop against Carolina, one more stop against Green Bay, one more stop against, I guess Chicago didn't matter. But those 2 games, it probably could have helped. Probably could have helped matters, but you know, nevertheless, it's this defense has major problems that I'm not sure you can fix in the span of, you know, 3-4 weeks, because that's what they need to do.
Okay, well, so you've gone down you've opened the what if door. If Micah Parsons is on this defense and they needed 1 stop against Green Bay, they needed 1 stop against Carolina, those are 2 wins, and we're talking about this team in a much different light. My issue with that, let's play that out. Okay, that Micah stayed here. They gave him $47 million. and he's on this team, and they win those 2 games, one which was a tie, which is going to drive me crazy all season.
Me and you both.
The OCD in me is going to just kick in, and every time I look at the standings, I'm like, I can't look at it. It drives me. I never realized that about myself. I'm like, clean it up, right? Seriously, I'm not kidding. I'm like, clean it, move it, get it out, make it a zero.
Flip a coin, something.
Something. Penetrations. I don't care anything. Draft picks, history. So anyways, if he's on this team, they probably I do contend they probably would have won those games.
Yeah, it's healthy to assume that,
Okay, so hang on. If they win those games, are they really that much better than they were this time a year ago?
The record is 4-2. If they end up winning both of those games, but that's not the reality we're looking at.
Okay, here's the reality we're looking. Here's the other reality that we're looking at. We talked about this last week, and there's one part to this game that nobody talked about for good reason. I mean, the defense was so bad. Dak Prescott was so good. George Pickens, who we'll talk about here in a second, was also terrific. The running back that the Cowboys decided to go over Rico Dowdle did nothing. Javonte Williams in that running game against Carolina. Now, Carolina's front seven's pretty good, but I don't know. It's like nobody talked about the fact that running game was awful. 19 carries, 31 yards. Javonte Williams was the bell cow. Now, he had been good up until that week. But if we're going to kick around the what-if game, and gee whiz did they, was going with Javonte Williams, was that – and Miles Sanders, who's now out for the season. You reported that last week. He's out for the season, who played in Carolina last season. But was going with Javonte over Rico Dowdle a mistake?
No, I don't think it would have mattered who was at running back in that game against the Panthers. The defensive line for the Panthers just overwhelmed that Cowboys offensive line. The Cowboys lost the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And when you lose the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, more often than not, you're going to see an L added to that loss column. But that was the nature of that. I don't think it was anything that Javonte Williams did or did not do. I think if you flip the situation, I honestly think Javonte Williams is having just as big of a day as Rico Dowdle had. Now, granted, Rico Dowdle ended up having 90-something yards after contact. That's really impressive. Javonte Williams probably doesn't reach that type of number, but I think if you flip the running backs in these games, it's really the line of scrimmage that helped win this game for the Panthers. Okay,
we're going to do it again because it's the story, and that is a defense that is not good. Some of these numbers are just incredible. So they rank last in the NFL in yards allowed. They rank last in the NFL in yards allowed per game at 411. No other defense gives up more than 399. 31st is Cincinnati, and they're awful. They rank second to last in points allowed, 30.7. Trivia question. Who's giving up the most points per game in the NFL right now?
Baltimore Ravens.
It's incredible. 32.3. Your Baltimore Ravens checking in there with the worst defense in the NFL, points per game wise. But I think you and I both agree the worst defense, with all due respect to the good folks in Baltimore and Cincinnati, the Dallas Cowboys are awful.
Cincinnati is just the Cowboys with Micah Parsons.
And you know what? You can make a real argument. Cincinnati's been Dallas for a long, long time for various reasons. There's a lot of similarities there. I know I could not believe how bad Kenny Clark was in that game. I could not believe how bad their defensive tackles were. But the thing to me that just jumped off the page, I don't know if I've ever seen an NFL linebacking unit as bad, as ineffective as this unit is right now for the Dallas Cowboys. In all your years watching football, live or on tape, can you recall seeing a linebacking unit this ineffective?
Yeah, it's bad. I call back to the Rams had a really, really bad unit a couple of years ago. Back in, this would have been in 2023, going into that Rams game. They won some games late in the year after they made a switch at linebacker, brought in a couple of guys. I also think back to the Chargers linebacker crew a couple of years ago, which who did that include? Can you guess? Kenneth Murray.
Kenneth Murray. That's right, Kenneth
Yeah,
Murray.
there's one constant there. But this linebacker group is awful. Granted, they do expect to get DeMarvion Overshown back after the bye week. I am expecting him to be able to play against the Las Vegas Raiders, barring a setback. That'll be a big boost. Will it be the savior? Will it be the end-all, be-all? Absolutely not. But it will help this defense. It's going to bring athleticism to that second level. It's a guy that can cover, play the run, blitz the quarterback. He can do so many things. Granted, he is going to be coming off a pretty major knee injury, and he's going to be coming right back onto the field for the second time in 2 years with, that kind of recovery. Now, if you can pair him with somebody you can acquire at the deadline, then, maybe we're talking a little bit. But even then, I mean, you still have some issues at safety that have to be addressed. At this point, going deeper into the year with 12 games left, it's trying to figure out how to patch some problems before you can really solve them in the offseason. If you can patch the problems enough, Mac, to just be the 20th best defense, you don't need to be 15th. You don't need to be 15th or
no,
top.
You need 20 to 22. You can win a couple more games.
If you could just get to 20, then you're going to have a shot.
I'm going to say two names. I want you to tell me what you think of how they're playing and their future with the Dallas Cowboys.
Just bad. If they're on the defensive side, just bad, and let's move on.
Okay, humor me, because coming into the season, and really when he was drafted, there were high hopes for this particular player, and he's been a little uneven, but I would say mostly kind of disappointing because some teams did have a first-round peg, not grade, but peg on this one player, and the Cowboys got a deal. Sam Williams, what do you make of it?
Yeah, not good. Has not been good this year. You expected more from the pass rush department in general, and Sam Williams probably would have been the number 2 name you would list on that of that group. That guy
behind you.
I probably would have put him behind Dante Fowler coming into the year as a guy who you expected to have sack production, and neither of those guys have been that. Granted, Dante Fowler has had pressure production, but Sam Williams hasn't even had that to add to his name.
The other one is Trayvon Diggs. That was tough watching what he did out there on Sunday.
Yeah, it's been up and down for him. Has he been worth his contract? Absolutely not. Jeez, $97 million that this team, probably wishes that they had back. And shoot, they might end up getting some of that back if they cut him this offseason. But, hasn't been good there either. Granted, the secondary is getting better. It's very small increments. They're not giving up 8 big plays per game. They're giving up like 3. So it's, you take your wins where you can get them, I guess. But nevertheless, I mean, I think the core of the secondary issues, I think, stems from the safety unit. You're asking Donovan Wilson to play field safety when he hasn't done that in his career. He's a box safety. Yeah. Malik Hooker has had some issues with communication on the back end, so much so that when Wanye Thomas comes in and starts for him for a game, you see a little bit more efficient communication on that back end. So it's really the safety group in my eyes.
Okay, let's move on to a player whose acquisition was controversial at least, but whose production so far and play has been outstanding. And I'm talking about wide receiver George Pickens. Whatever you want to say about what the Cowboys did this offseason, obviously Micah Parsons got all the headlines, and it blew out the risk the Cowboys took when they traded for the moody, let's go with that word, former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver. He's playing like a wide receiver 1, I think. CeeDee Lamb has been out. He's obviously coming back. You can tell me when that return will be.
Probably this week.
Okay, so we got CeeDee and George Pickens on the field. Clearly, George Pickens has established some rapport with Dak Prescott. He looks great. So far this season, 32 catches, 525 yards, 6 touchdowns, and that's really coming in the last 4 games. He did not do a ton in weeks 1 or week 2, but boy, has he come around the last few weeks. He looks great. Is he a Dallas Cowboy in 2026, do you think? Or is there any chance as this season goes on, they recognize the value in what they have and they move him for an asset they need on the other side of the ball?
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. I see him being on this team in 26. Now, how is he on this team? That's the question. Is it a franchise tag? Do they go ahead and sign him to the long-term deal and just let the price tag get bigger? I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but they do have the money to allocate for George Pickens moving forward, whether that's $30 million, $35 million, whatever it looks like. I think one thing probably benefiting the Cowboys here is that his price tag does have a ceiling. his ceiling is CeeDee Lamb's number. He's not going to make more than CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is at 34.5. So that's what his cap will be.
Will he be mad?
Say that again.
Will he be mad? Some guys get mad. I mean, this is egos, and egos are fragile. Well, they are what they are. And if this guy thinks, and his agent, and he's got people in his ear saying, you need to go get Justin Jefferson money, you need to get Jamar Chase money, you're not getting that money because you're not the featured guy, because that guy on the other side of the ball, is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, it very well could be. And you think about who his agent is, it's the same one you just dealt with in the Micah Parsons ordeal and David Mulugeta. So it's going to make this situation very peculiar in the offseason. It's just yet another drama point that we're going to have to point at. Granted, you would think it would be done by training camp, but if they franchise tag him, then we are headed toward another reality where we're dealing with contract drama in Oxnard.
Any chance they could do what Cincinnati did? Speaking of Cincinnati, when they surprised everybody, especially me, when they announced on the same day deals for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I thought T. Higgins was gone, but they figured out a way to do it. I'm not, and now of course, they're not very good this season because they don't have the starting quarterback. But is there any chance they could line up, the Cowboys could line up a deal similar for George that the Bengals did for T. Higgins?
Yeah, I could see that. I forget what T's number is exactly. I think it's just north of 30.
It was a 3, but that's a lot of, we talked a little bit about it here. I know Chris Collinsworth on the NBC Sunday night telecast talked about it. There was one part to the Micah Parsons thing that I always understood, and that is if you are paying 3 guys top 3 salaries at their respective positions, that is a ton of money, and it just eats up so much. 2 I get, 3 is a lot.
Yeah. And
it just leaves so little margin for error in drafting and developing and hitting on first contract players at all these other different positions. I'm not saying giving him up was a good idea, but I do, and I know you've talked about it too, Nick. That's a lot. That is a lot to commit to 3 guys on your team, and other teams have done it. And I don't know the batting average in terms of success and whatnot, but you talk about let's just for the sake of argument, because look, the bottom line is as this season goes on, these kinds of scenarios are going to be the points of discussion for this team. Yeah. Is giving George 30 plus as well as CD and Dak Prescott, is that the best money spent for the construction of your roster and specifically your top 40, your depth chart? I'm not talking about the 53. I'm talking about the guys who play, which is usually someplace in the high 30 range.
Yeah, I think so. You've seen what this offense has been like with George Pickens on the field. You've seen what it is without CeeDee Lamb on the field. So it remains consistent. The part about Pickens is his value has been established, because in this time that Lamb has been out, he has proven that he can be the wide receiver 1. He has proven that he can keep the offense going to what they need it to be at their standards. So that whatever happens the rest of the season, he could go 2 receptions for 3 yards the rest of the season. He can point back to this 3+ game stretch where he was like, hey, I had over 500 yards in that 3+ game stretch. I had 7 touchdowns in the first 6 games or whatever it is. That's what my value should be. And he has every right to be able to point right back at that.
All right, let's move on. Sunday, 3:30. Finally, the Dallas Cowboys are out of the dreaded noon kickoff time. Although, selfishly, I like those better. The Dallas Cowboys on Sunday will host the Washington Commanders. They haven't changed that yet. That's too bad. I hate that name. It's just so UFL-ish. No disrespect to Gerald Johnson, good people. It's just so. Don't you hate that?
I liked football team.
So did I.
I like.
You want to know why? I'm going to say this. I don't know. You weren't with us, and I know you probably would never read it. I liked it. I was thinking about this last night, Nick. When they were called Washington Football Team, WFT, I would just change it and call it Washington Team Football.
yeah, exactly.
See,
exactly.
Right, there's a good bit, and I'm really bummed that that's gone. And Commanders, I'm like, you're going to do this. You don't have to go back to Redskins, but like if you're going to do this, do something like Commanders.
Yeah,
like the one that I really liked that I'd seen was a possibility was Red Tails. Did you see that one?
I did not see that one.
Yeah, Red Tails is a shout out to the Tuskegee Airmen, and that their planes in World War II were distinguished by a red tail on their plane. I was like, oh, that's a good one. But of course they didn't do it. So they're going to play the Commanders. Washington Commanders come in at, do I have it 3? Yeah, that's right. They're 3-3. Did you watch the Monday night game?
Yeah, the rainy, sloppy fest at Northwest Stadium, and the Bears were able to steal one.
Is that the worst stadium in the NFL right now?
No, I don't think so. I think
Jacksonville.
I think Jacksonville's a little worse. I don't hate Washington. I really don't.
Really?
Yeah, like, is it breaking down, and is there not a lot of money being put into it to help upkeep it? Absolutely, no doubt. It has some environment though. Like it's kind of a little bowl setting, and the crowd gets loud in there. I don't mind that stadium. I really don't. I think there's
the thing that I hated about that one was getting there was the biggest pain in the ass.
It is no doubt.
I mean, other than maybe if you're staying in New Jersey, getting into Giants Stadium isn't that bad. Getting into Foxborough where the Patriots play, that can be a jaunt because it's out in the middle of nowhere. Washington, I hated going out there. And that's a first world problem. I get it. But, the one thing you did say it, they will not put a dime into that stadium now that they got funding approved for the old RFK site, which as a fan of football in the 70s and 80s, were really the 80s. I don't remember anything in the 70s.
I'm excited.
Oh, so am I.
I'm excited.
That's going to be neat.
The blueprints and the renderings look fantastic. So we only have 5 more trips to the Maryland dump.
And you realize what a white elephant that's going to become in that community.
Oh, for sure.
The football team leaves. Oh, God. Okay, 3:30 on Fox. Cowboys host Washington. Washington, who, as Nick said, completely gave away the game on Monday night with an unfortunate last-minute fumble by Jaden Daniels on a handoff. Chicago takes the ball, moves down the field, and kicks a last-second field goal to win it. Washington, I think I read this right. There's a very good chance I wrote this down wrong. Is Washington a 1.5-point favorite?
Let me double check that.
Double check that. Would you mind?
Yeah,
I wrote that down and I was like, geez, did I get that right?
That would sound about right, honestly. I have them at 2, but
2. Okay, so they're the favorite. Obviously, a lot of people are excited about Washington and what they've done under former defensive coordinator, Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. They went to the playoffs last season with a rookie quarterback who looked way better than your standard rookie. Now, Jaden Daniels is a little injured this season. He's come back. You can make a case they probably should have beat the Bears on Monday night. They didn't. They're 3-3, 1-2 in the division. There's not a lot about this matchup that I like other than this. No one misses Dan Snyder more than Jerry Jones because no owner, with the exception of maybe Mike Brown in Cincinnati, no owner made Jerry look better than Dan. And the Cowboys, even when they were really bad, they always played Washington pretty tough, and they usually won those games for a long time. And Dallas beat Washington last season in a really exciting game in Washington. That was the crazy game with all the points scored in the last couple of minutes. And then in the regular season finale, they had them beat. They should have swept the series, but they didn't. They finished 1-1. The only reason I'm giving Dallas, there's 2 reasons I'm giving Dallas a puncher's chance on this one. 1, it's at home. That usually helps. And 2, they usually give Washington fits. For whatever reason, the storied rivalry part of this is dead. But for whatever reason, Nick, they usually give Washington fits. Other than that, I don't got a lot. Do you?
Yeah, I think if we're talking about the matchup specifically, two sides, the Commanders just gave up 7.7 yards per carry to DeAndre Swift on Monday night. And that is not a good running back anymore. He is well past his prime. He is well past the days where he could break off a 7.7 yards per carry type game, especially in an environment where it's raining and everyone knows you're going to run the ball a little bit more than not. So I think this front that Dan Quinn has in Washington is probably very similar to what you would have seen in 2023 with the Cowboys defense. Is that they're going to be really physical in the secondary, and they're not going to give up big pass gains, but in the run game you're going to have some opportunities. So in this game, Javonte Williams, I think this is probably a get-right game for him after the 31-yard performance against the Panthers. They'll probably lean on the run game a little bit more. Look, man, it's hard to say with any team in the NFL that the Cowboys can't, hang with them or can't
Right.
win a game because of their offense, because their offense has so many weapons. Because if you can't establish the run with Javonte Williams, okay, then you have CeeDee Lamb over here. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, you have George Pickens over here. Oh, that doesn't work. You have Jake Ferguson right there. I mean, there are so many weapons that this team has, but it's also, on the same token, hard to assume that they can't lose any game because of how bad their defense is. So it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde week every week about, what version of the Cowboys defense you're going to get. And, if you tell me, hey, you're going to get the best version of what this Cowboys defense will look like, then yeah, I think they would beat the Commanders. But if they play like they have 4 out of the 6 games this year, then they're going to lose this game. And that's just the way it is. It's hard to predict. This is of all the Cowboys teams that I have covered, I am coming to learn that this one is the hardest one to project week to week because of how weird this defense is. You don't know what version you're going to get week in and week out.
Well, high end, you hit the nail on the head. I think high end, this is the 20th ranked defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
I speak as well as the Cowboys play defense. So if that's their high end, if you said, Nick, the Cowboys are going to play to their maximum defensive capabilities on Sunday against Jaden Daniels in Washington, which I think you and I both agree that puts them at number 20 in the NFL defensively.
Yeah.
Do they win?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a prediction, because I don't think that's going to happen. But give me who do you like for Sunday? Straight and against the line.
Goodness. I think the Commanders win the game, and I'll take their line as well.
All right.
I'm not confident about it though. I'm not confident.
No, neither am I.
CeeDee Lamb's coming back. I don't know, because CeeDee Lamb is coming back into this game, and it's going to add a little bit of unknown to this offense.
I think you're going to talk. I think they're going to win it.
Let me flip it. Give
okay.
me
I'm with you. We'll both be wrong.
Yeah.
All right. I'm down. I think the Cowboys are going to win this. And I have had just a horrendous season picking games. I mean, this is like catastrophic, jump off the roof, bad. But I just keep thinking, well, and I don't think I've come down with Jerry-itis. It's nothing like that. When I picked them to beat the Eagles, I thought my reasoning was sound, and they damn near did it. And on this one, the Carolina one didn't surprise me at all. That one did not surprise me at all. And I think Carolina is probably a little bit better than maybe we gave them credit for. Not that I think that they're world beaters, but they're probably a little bit better than we thought.
I will say this: that is a physical football team. That is one of the more physical football teams that I've seen, and they're 3-3 right now. They're playing the Jets this week. They can go over 500. We've seen the Panthers play each of the last 3 years. That is not the same Panthers team.
No, that's the best I've seen them look in a long time.
That's a good Panthers team. It's maybe not good, but it's not bad. It's not.
No, I think it's one of those NFL teams. They happen every year where they come out of kind of nowhere, and they're pretty good, right? They'll win 10, 9, 10, 11 games someplace in there. They get in the playoffs and they lose. But for that franchise at that time, it's progress. We see it all the time. And I think that's kind of what this team is, especially in that division. That I think that division's a little vulnerable. So they could probably steal some wins there. But I think you're right. They're pretty good. That front seven looked pretty good.
Yeah.
That front seven looked pretty good. And you're right. Anything against Dallas, you kind of have to take with a little bit of an asterisk. But that front seven is pretty good. Okay, we're going to go to the last subject. We're going to talk a little college football here, because what's going on in college football right now is crazy. Everybody's getting fired. Nobody is safe. This is worse than working for the government if you're a Democrat. We've seen – that's a good line. We've seen college coaches at the following programs get fired already, and it's not even November. UCLA has fired its head coach. Oklahoma State has fired its head coach. University of Alabama, Birmingham has fired its head coach. Virginia Tech has fired its head coach. A couple of other ones have been fired too. But the big one, the leader, unbelievably, James Franklin at Penn State over the weekend is fired after a loss to Northwestern. This followed a loss to UCLA, which followed a home loss to a very good Oregon team. Nick, it was just about 7 or 8 months ago where Penn State was in the playoffs, won multiple playoff games, and was contending for a national championship. This is 4 weeks after Penn State is getting ready to host a very good Oregon team. It's on game day. They're top 10 in the country. They're rolling. They look great. And in 3 weeks, all of that gets erased, and they fire a head coach and will pay him almost $50 million to accommodate the buyout. Second, only to the buyout that Texas A&M paid Jimbo Fisher, which was $76 million several years ago. These buyout figures for coaches are insane. And now, as I looked at it, and we put up on that graphic a picture of Sonny Dykes, of all the coaches in Texas right now, we're going to keep this to Power 4 programs, the more high-profile programs. To me, it's not even close. Of all these different coaches who may be in trouble, Sonny Dykes, who went to the national championship game and won a playoff game that season just 3 years ago, is by far and away the most in danger of losing his job. Mike Elko at A&M, second season, they're ranked 4th in the nation. Joey McGuire at Texas Tech, undefeated, 7th in the nation, has complete support of Cody Campbell and that administration at Texas Tech. Steve Sarkisian at Texas, back-to-back playoff appearances, a playoff win, a huge win against Oklahoma on Saturday. Willie Fritz at Houston, clearly looks like he has things turned around there. Dave Aranda at Baylor, he's probably the other one who would be in this discussion. And just coincidentally, Dave Aranda's Baylor Bears play at TCU on Saturday in Fort Worth and Amon Carter Stadium. TCU is a 3.5-point favorite, even though they are coming off an embarrassing loss at Kansas State over the weekend. What do you make of the overall state of coaches, and specifically the guy in Fort Worth, and all of these guys getting canned?
Yeah, I would maybe think that I would probably continue on one point in saying that I think Dave Aranda might be on a hotter seat. It's not by much, but I think he would be on a hotter seat just because he's been there longer. They know what success has looked like under Dave Aranda, and it's been a long time since that has circled back around for Baylor. And in a Big 12 this year, and this goes for Sonny Dykes too, and a Big 12 conference this year where it is so wide open and so many teams can get involved, just like it was last year when Arizona State won the conference out of nowhere, and you have a team that can't even sniff the conference championship, then yeah, that's probably an indictment on what you're building. And so, you know, I think about that with Dave Aranda. I think about that with Sonny Dykes. It's eventually why Mike Gundy got let go, because they were not going to be sniffing a conference title this year by any stretch of the imagination after their loss to Tulsa. I think the overall coaching carousel, it's going to be fun this year. It's going to be wild because not only are you going to have some coaches, and this is more so around the country, not only are you going to have coaches get fired, like if Brian Kelly finishes 8-4, not only would you have some ones like that, Billy Napier, I mean, he may as well lay in his coffin right now. There's multiple of those guys in the Power 4 ranks. Not only do you have those, but you also have guys like Kurt Signetti, Matt Rule. Do they jump away from Power 4 programs to go take some of these bigger jobs? Rhett Lashley at SMU, is he one of those guys that jumps and takes a bigger job? So it's going to be very reminiscent of what was that, the 2021 cycle?
21, where everybody got
Lincoln
fired.
Riley left Oklahoma to go to USC, not LSU. Brian Kelly left Notre Dame to go to LSU, and Brent
Gary
Biddle
Patterson.
Oklahoma, Gary Patterson. There was so much happening that year. I think you're going to see a year very reminiscent of that, if not more impactful, just because of all the names, the quantity of names that are going to be moved around. I would also, since we're on the topic of state of Texas coaches, you got to keep an eye on GJ Kinney at Texas State, and you got to keep an eye on Eric Morris at North Texas. You know, if you see, you know, some of these low tier Power 4 jobs come open, like in Oklahoma State, like in Indiana, potentially if Signetti were to move on, then those would be names that would make sense for those kinds of jobs. So, you know, it's going to have a ripple effect all throughout college football this offseason.
Rhett Lashley at SMU. Obviously, SMU had a phenomenal year last year. He's done very well in replacing Sonny Dykes. This season, they've had a couple of losses already, and you know, obviously, they just lost too much. They had so many good players that walked out the door, and that's tough to keep that going. But the one thing I've written about, I don't know if you read it or not, but the one thing I'm really, really curious about what Rhett Lashley does. He's from Arkansas. He coached at Arkansas. He played at Arkansas. He coached at Arkansas State. He would be the guy. Is Arkansas a better job than SMU?
No, and I don't think he would take Arkansas as a result. I think the financial support that he has at SMU, it would be more than what he would have at Arkansas, and he's in a much more winnable conference in the ACC. I think if Rhett Lashley were to leave, it wouldn't be Arkansas, it would be Auburn.
So I think if Rhett Lashley leaves for Arkansas, It tells me nothing about SMU. Nothing. Because everything that you just said is true. It tells me everything about what he thinks is going to happen in the future in Power 4 football. And he doesn't think SMU is going to have the same access point to the playoffs that it currently enjoys. That basically what we're going to see, and I know it's coming, it's going to happen in the next 3 to 4 years. There's going to be more conference consolidation. They're going to pick off a couple more teams from either the Big 12 and the ACC. SMU could be a part of it. It may not. I don't know. But if he doesn't think it's going to be a part of that scheme, that schematic, so to speak, then I could see him saying, well, I'd rather go there because at least there I have a shot, whereas here I have none. Even though you and I both know since Arkansas went to the SEC in 1991, other than a year or two under Bobby Petrino, they really haven't done anything. And there's been a lot of programs like that. Nebraska leaving the Big 12 for the Big 10. They really haven't done much of anything. There's a lot of those programs that have done that. But that's the only scenario where I could see Rhett leaves for Arkansas. For Auburn, if they fire Hugh Freeze, which I think that's inevitable, don't you?
Man, they have been screwed around in these conference games. I wonder how much the AD puts that into context.
You're talking about this by any chance?
That was one of them. The Oklahoma game where they ran a play that shouldn't have been run.
So bad.
And they had to suspend the refs as a result. I mean, Auburn has had some bad officiating luck.
No, but they're not very good either. They're okay.
Their defense is fantastic.
No, I'll give you that.
Their defense is fantastic, but that's not to freeze the side of the ball.
No, but their offense is garbage.
Yeah.
I think you're right about this. That this game, TCU's this season is going very much like last season. And the only difference is they don't have Savion Williams back there to put in at running back because they don't have the offensive line, where Savion could go out and do whatever he wanted because the guy's a horse. So anyways, TCU will host Baylor in the We're Going to Get Fired Bowl at 11 a.m. in Amon Carter Stadium on Saturday. Cowboys host the Commanders 3:30 on Sunday on Fox. Nick, you got anything else for me?
Yeah, it's a tough loss for North Texas last week, but my alma mater, Rockwall Heath High School, bounced back later night on Friday night, beat undefeated North Forney 56-55 in overtime.
Wow,
wild
defensive struggle.
Game. And now my Rockwall Heath Hawks are top 10 in 6A. So
that's fantastic.
Hey, look, if you see me at AT&T Stadium with some Rockwall Heath gear in late December, just know I'm having a great time.
Well, bring your yearbook on Sunday. All right, for all of your Cowboys coverage needs, make sure to follow us on StarTelegram.com. Make sure to follow Emmy winner. I get that right. Emmy winner Nick Harris on Twitter and blow up his Twitter account because he's got a lot more followers than I do. Candy, wake up. See you next week on Cowboys Overtime.